ladies and perhaps gentlemen, if you're choosing to watch this video too. I just wanted to do like a quick kind of sloppy recording on a life hack, I guess you could call it a life hack, that I have discovered lately in terms of like the way I think and how it applies to essentially weight loss. That wasn't necessarily the intention, but it's translated into that. And one of the things that I'm specifically talking about is shifting a point of view from away from, like focusing on calories and eat this, don't eat that, this has this much fat or carbs or blah, 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 blah. Like, our society is bombarded with information like that. And I think just even focusing in that way on food is part of what makes it so prevalent in your consciousness in the first place, and what keeps drawing you to food and over again, whether you're consciously realizing it or not. So I decided to, again, not necessarily because of that, but I just decided to shift my focus to more of like almost a raw physics perspective of energy in and energy out. Like the reason, okay, so let's break it down. Like, what is the reason you eat food in the first place? It's to have energy. That's the whole idea. So you can thrive and do the things you want to do on a daily basis with the energy that you gain from food. And then I'm thinking to myself, okay, if it's a matter of energy in and energy out, and obviously you want to eat the right types of energy, like clean burning fuel, so you burn cleaner fuel on an output level, more efficient, healthier. But like bottom line is like there's more places to get energy than just food. And so like I wrote down a couple of other methods of gaining energy that I've been trying to be more mindful of outside of food that are really helpful in terms of increasing my energy levels without having to eat as many calories to do it. Which again, eventually translates into weight loss. That wasn't the main goal, but if that's what you're looking to do, here's some tips. So the first one I wrote down is sunshine, vitamin D, because sunshine is often vilified in our society because of the effects that it can have on your skin and skin cancer and just all the different forms of radiation that can harm your body. But at the same time, when you get sunshine, you get vitamin D. And when you get vitamin D, there are a lot of benefits, not only for your bones and the health and strength and integrity of your bones, but outside of that, you're also getting an energy kick. Like, I don't know about you, but when I go out and lay in the sun for a while, like, yeah, you're relaxed because it's nice and warm, but after that, you're usually feeling energized for a while later because you are actually absorbing energy from sunlight, whether you like it or not. And even think about the contrast of how you feel energetically on days that are bright and sunny versus days that are dark and wet and rainy, which have their own charm, but energetically, you usually just want to be huddled up in a blanket, staying warm and not moving much, essentially. So again, sunshine is a great way to get energy outside of food. And I've also noticed on days, of course, in moderation, be careful because you do still have to worry about certain forms of radiation and, skin cancer associated and everything. So be careful. But something else that I've noticed is on days where I will lay out in the sun, I'm bottom line less hungry. Like when it's warm and sunny outside, you don't want to eat as much typically. So that's a source of more raw energy above and beyond, outside of the scope of food that can be helpful for giving you energy levels for thriving. Because I'm someone who's always for years now, been into taking vitamins and minerals and extra supplements to help my hair grow stronger and just to, feel better in general. And I remember, okay, personal example. I remember a couple of years ago when my hair started getting a little bit thinner and I wasn't happy with it, I was researching good hair, skin, and nail vitamins, and I came across these women's formula multivitamin and mineral support for hair, skin, and nails that I get at Trader Joe's. Love Trader Joe's. I'm not endorsed by them or anything. I just legit love this stuff. And It is intensely packed with vitamins and minerals. Like if you read the panel on it, there's a lot going on in here in terms of the percentage of your daily value and how much you're getting, to where they even break it down into 3 pills that you take throughout the day, 3 supplements that you take throughout the day, instead of rolling it all into one. Because if they rolled this amount of vitamins and minerals into one vitamin, A, you'd most likely get nauseous, especially if you didn't take it with food, and B, the water soluble ones, you would probably pee out the ones that your body didn't use right then and there, so it might be somewhat of a waste. So it's good that they break it down into 3 separate supplements throughout the day. But something I noticed a few years ago when I started taking these, and I didn't do super intricate research to trace it back to this, but there was certainly a correlation in terms of when I started taking these and my energy levels. I remember not craving as much food, probably because I was getting a more efficient dose of nutrients in these, not craving as much food, and having higher energy levels than I had remembered in a long time. And there's no caffeine present in this. I wasn't drinking much caffeine at that time in my life. I'm not a big caffeine person in the first place. So that was really interesting. And so sure enough, every once in a while, I decided to experiment with it and hold almost everything dietary-wise throughout my day constant, but then don't take these for a day or 2 and see how I feel. And I noticed myself craving, legitimately, on average, an extra like 25 to 30% more calories than usual, and still feeling more lethargic when I don't take these. Probably because my body's used to getting this shock of nutrients, but all of a sudden it's gone missing for a day or 2, and so it's trying to eat certain foods to try and make up for the fact that it's missing the nutrients. So that's another more form of like efficient, raw, not necessarily food-based energy in terms of vitamins and supplements that you can do to get the energy you need to thrive on a daily basis. But just like with sunshine, and just like with anything I will ever say, everyone's a little bit different in terms of your body and what you need. Everyone's going to respond differently, and make sure you use it in moderation. And if you have any issues, talk to your doctor about it. Like, bottom line, be smart and be safe with all of this. Okay, the next one that I wrote down is exercise, and in terms of getting an extra boost of energy outside of food. Because exercise is something, again, in moderation. If you exercise a ton, and you don't eat, you're gonna be exhausted. That just makes sense. But on a more, a smaller, more micro level, I guess you could say, I even remember reading a study years ago that was done where they had people that they were in an office and they had the typical afternoon lulls. Like, you come back after lunch when you're working in an office and you just start to feel lethargic. And so they offered the people in the experiment one of 2 options. You can either have, I think it was the equivalent of a cup of coffee. I don't know if they actually gave them a cup of coffee, but it was the caffeine equivalent of a cup of coffee. Or I think it was like 10 or 20 jumping jacks. I remember jumping jacks were involved. And they had the subjects do jumping jacks to get their energy levels up, or drink coffee to get their energy levels up. And the people that actually just got up out of their desk and did like a little bit of exercise, like a few of those jumping jacks, or maybe push-ups or crunches, whatever works for you, but like a few of them had more stable and better sustained levels of energy for a couple hours thereafter, just by doing that, like getting up and moving a little bit. So exercise is another way that not only burns calories, but can increase your energy levels, and has lots of other benefits, of course, but can increase your energy levels without having to eat more food or potentially drink another cup of caffeinated beverage or another form of caffeine. Okay, the next one is sleep, and sleep is huge. I remember reading another study more recently that was done, tracking how on average, contrasting in the 1950s versus now, how much less the average American sleeps. I think we sleep on average like an hour and a half to 2 hours less than we did back in the 1950s, and how the obesity rate has gone up within that time period too. And there really is, think about it, on days that you get extra sleep, like you get the full 7 to 9 hours, depending on what your deal is, usually you have a lot more energy, not just physically, but mentally as well, like restored, repaired energy that you got from sleeping that you can then apply to your day without having had to eat necessarily. Because sleep, although you're burning calories and everything, you're still, like, you're restoring. It's a great way, bottom line is it's a great way to have a more healthy, stable, sustainable form of energy throughout your day when you get a full night's sleep. And typically, the more healthy sleep you can get, the fewer calories you tend to crave. Because think about the days that you're operating off of like maybe 4 or 5 or 6 hours, like not as much as usual, and you do that for a couple days on end, chances are, in order to get through all of the tasks that you have to get through on those days, you're probably eating more calories, like consuming more calories and caffeine and macronutrients and micronutrients in order to meet your calorie and energy demands. But if you sleep, you avoid those extra calories. So get extra sleep. It's good for you on a lot of levels, just like exercise. But of course, in moderation too, because I think there is such a thing as oversleeping. And then the last one that I wrote down in terms of energy is breathing. Like, I'll be honest, like, it's so much. I grew up in Fresno, California, and it has, like, that's a town notorious for having some of the worst air quality that there is. And then after Fresno, I went to college in Los Angeles, which is also notorious nationally for having really crappy air quality. And then eventually I moved over to a coastal area in California, and I noticed that I am able, because of like the cleaner air that I'm breathing and just the oxygen level, the oxygen saturation levels that I'm breathing, living closer to the ocean, closer to clean air, how much more energy I have without having to eat food. Maybe you're watching this and you live in an area that just has crappy air. Like, try and get to clean air as much as possible. But something else that gives you an energy boost is just being inside, maybe with an air purifier or something, and meditating. Because when you're meditating, you're focusing on breathing. And people don't usually realize on a more intricate basis how you're not just breathing in oxygen, but you're breathing in a lot of other elements from the air that can be a source of energy for you, even above and beyond oxygen. So the more mindful that you tend to be about breathing, this is certainly something I've noticed in my own life, the more mindful that you are about breathing, typically the more energy that you're able to harness even from the air around you. And that's why a lot of meditators, like, I notice people that are really good about their meditation schedules are typically, I think for multiple reasons, but I'm sure air being one of them, they're a lot better about breathing, and they're also a lot better about not overindulging in food in order to get like a stable source of energy for them, for their lives. So again, this is, instead of thinking it all about like you have to eat in order to live and that's the only place you can get energy, like, no, there are so many other places you can get energy. I mean, obviously, and when you do still need to feed yourself, I'm not saying stop eating, but when you are eating, try and feed yourself like a cleaner burning fuel. Almost, I like to think of it like my car, and how I totally notice a difference in driving her when I put, crappy gas in the car versus when I put like premium gas in the car, which is what she's designed to run on. And I think all of us can get our bodies to where we're like a high performance vehicle who thrives on premium gas by giving our bodies premium fuel to run on above and beyond just food. So again, that's a little life hack I've noticed lately and have been really appreciating, and I hope maybe some of that perspective works well for you. Love you. Bye.